Like I mentioned before, once you hit 12, the level of the enemies go over max level, all the way to level 100. This is utter bullshit. Why? Because Mihoyo doesn't think that a max level character should be strong enough to clear their endgame content. Nah, that would actually make sense. Instead, your max level character only gives you a small boost in power. The real strength is in the artifacts you have. But not only the artifacts, again, that would make too much sense, it's in the substats. The RNG on top of the RNG of the main stat, on top of the RNG of getting the right set of artifacts, on top of the RNG of getting the artifact in the first place. This is where so many of my grinding hours went. Beyond stupid, hair-pulling, ulcer-inducing, mind-raping artifact searching. Hello there. Grab a drink and take a seat. Let's talk artifacts.
Let's go!
If the Spiral Abyss didn't exist, the substats wouldn't be an issue. Back in the day before Raiden, I used to consider only equipping 4-star artifacts, as my units were simply too weak to obtain 5-star artifacts. And if you want to go even further back, I used to equip the Terabad ones and I just called it a day. I'm telling you this because whenever I would fight bosses and complete story quests, I never struggled. Sure, the game had challenges and it became more difficult as it became stronger and stronger, but I just assumed that that was the normal flow of Genshin itself, because that's what a video game is supposed to do. As you become stronger, so does the rest of the world. It all scales together as a means for you to feel that your efforts and triumphs mean something. It's not supposed to be overkill and one-shotting enemies like the Spiral Abyss. Everything is equal to your own power so that it's ultimately up to the player and their wits to decide their fate in battle. But then you get to their endgame content. The only thing that matters here is nothing but the best. Nothing but perfection. You have to be the best around. But how do I become the best around, you ask? Do I go out and grind a monster? Do I complete special quests for powerful weapons and accessories? Do I farm XP? Even better! You get to spin a wheel 4 times a day!
You serious?
That's whatever. I faced worse, you say after getting the preferred artifact, but whoops, it's not the proper piece. You try again and you finally get the right piece, but it's the wrong main stat. A week passes and the RNG gods finally hand you the right piece with the right main stat. Only problem, it has HP and defense substats. You roll again for another 2 weeks and you get the right piece with the right main stat and crit substats to boot. But what's this? Flat defense? That's fine, you say. I have a better chance for crit. All that resin, all that time, gone. All because of 2 numbers next to 3 letters that not even a Noel main wants to see. The end of the abyss looks even farther ahead than before, inching away as you waste more of your time just praying that RNGesus blesses you with the best artifacts, when deep down inside you know that it's probably not even worth all that trouble in the first place. Before we continue, please watch this video. It'll help you gain more of an understanding as to how much of a fuck Mihoyo gives about free-to-players. Substats are by far one of the most, if not the most, scumbag artificial game lengtheners second to only resin. It's obvious they know what works and what's bullshit for most of the characters that are essential to clearing the abyss. After all, this game only has a handful of healers and dedicated shield bearers, so HP and defense is almost obsolete. The most important stats to building an essential character, ranked from most important to least, usually revolves around crit rate and damage, attack damage, energy recharge, and elemental mastery. The first 2 are the most important, aside from Kazuha and Sucrose mains. Some might prefer ER over attack, and I can get behind that. I'm mostly team attack because my Raiden got instantaneously stronger due to extra attack damage. I digress though. If you refer to the chart on the video I mentioned, look at where all the essential substats are. No matter what the specific piece is, they will always be at the bottom. Notice how there's both flat and percentage attack, HP, and defense substats. It's just adding extra duds to the pool of useful stats to make it harder to spin and win. A good example of this type of fuckery is Apex and Overwatch. There's already a big ass pool of recolors, but the legendary skins that actually inflict change on the look of your character also has a recolor as well. So there's a chance that you could get the same skin, but with a fresh coat of paint. As much as I hate this type of RNG, at least in this case it's only cosmetic. In Genshin, you have to have amazing substats, otherwise you can't even think of breathing on their endgame content. You have to spin that wheel and hope for the best. If you're gonna put something like this in the game, at least let us decide which stat to upgrade after upgrading the artifact itself. You could at the very fucking least let us have that, because even if you have crit rate and crit damage, that flat defense or HP percentage substat is looking at you dead in your face, yelling and provoking you while saying, "I dare you to roll on this one." And lo and behold, over 11% HP but only a meager amount of crit rate. It's absolutely sickening to see so much progress taken away from you simply because you lost the coin toss. Imagine working your way to the NBA Finals, but out of the 8 teams that made it, they spin a wheel and only pick the first 2 that the needle landed on. Imagine going for your gold swimming medal, but no matter if you placed first, you still lost to the guy who came in last, all because they picked their name out of a hat. You didn't do anything to mess up, you didn't make any clear mistakes, you just got the short end of the stick. It's just set in stone, and there was nothing you could do about it. The worst part is, even if you somehow get good enough artifacts, and you finally have the perfect teams to clear the entire abyss, what else is there to do? That's what I wanted to close this 2-parter off with. Once the abyss is clear, what else is there to do? Wait a month for it to come back, just to finish it the day it returns? That's what makes this system so broken. That's what makes all of this hard work and progress so pointless. There's no endgame. Calling the Spiral Abyss endgame content is laughable. The Abyss strays as far away from the term as possible. The only reason why the Abyss is so important to Genshin fans is because there's no post-game. The events are boring, the side quests are pointless, and exploring the world after Leeway has been clinically approved to boost gray hair production by 300%. So all you have left is the endgame, which is bare bones as anything. It's an empty, mediocre mess of a boss rush, and it goes by in a snap. The most recent event and the 3 Realms Gateway event are the only events that really piqued my interest. All I had to do was go around and kill everything in sight. I had no time limit, and I didn't have to RNG max out my characters. I just gathered my level 80 units and went crazy. It was challenging for me, but it wasn't close to impossible. The whole time I was going through those events, I sat there and I thought, what if Genshin's endgame consisted of a combination of these events? Like just going around and killing bosses and their minions, no enemies past max level, no time limit bullshit, but keep the cooldowns on the characters you use. Give me a reason to be versatile with the characters I have. Give me a reason to use both the characters that are strong and the characters that I love. Abolish the meta aspect and let people go wild with their combinations and squads. Let us utilize the intricate elemental system and the colorful characters you programmed for us to play with. Put in co-op elements so that people that have friends can all chip in with their best characters and tough it out together. Put a super strong boss at the end for a full frontal assault and only make it past max level when you're fighting with your friends. And keep consistently adding to it. Spice it up after resets. Switch up the enemies or put in fun ailments that don't harm either the character or the enemy. It just adds a zany essence to the challenge and the player can find fun ways to use it to their advantage. There's so much you can do with what you created here. This wasn't just a stepping stone, it was a trampoline, and all you had to do was stick the landing, but you didn't even take the leap. Instead of putting in work, you'd rather take the easy way because you just want to jumpstart other lifeless sources of income. Regardless if it would hurt your reputation or not, you'd rather disrespect your loyal fanbase to squeeze any and every dime out of your new surprise cash cow with the most minimal amount of effort possible. To have something so game-changing completely out of the control of the player is not only a dick move, but it's also manipulatory and insulting. You bet on the persistence and dedication that your fans have for the game, and you use that against them to rake in more playtime and money. You constantly shower them with false hope, only to give them what they wasted so much time for when you've already taken what you needed. Genshin is nothing but a drug site to be laundered by new half-assed projects, and in our current age of live service mediocrity, I doubt it's going to become anything more.